Somewhere in your wallet right now is a lie, not a mistake, a deliberate, engineered lie, and the man who told it went on television, smiled, and the world believed him. For most of human history, money had a body, a weight, a smell. It was gold. You could hold it, bite it, bury it in the ground, and dig it up 100 years later, and it would still be worth something. Gold didn't lie. But gold was heavy, inconvenient, hard to move across oceans or pay armies with. So banks made a deal with people. Leave your gold with us. We'll give you a piece of paper instead. And anytime you want the gold back, just bring in the paper. That paper was a promise. And for a while, the promise held. Then came the 20th century. 2 world wars, millions dead, entire economies reduced to rubble. And out of that rubble, in the summer of 1944, a meeting happened that would quietly determine the financial fate of every person alive today, including you. It happened in a small resort town in New Hampshire, a place called Bretton Woods. 44 nations sent their best minds. Economists, diplomats, people who understood that the old world was gone, and something new had to be built. The question was, what do you build it on? The answer, pushed through almost entirely by the United States. The dollar? Here was the logic. America had won the war. America held most of the world's gold. America was the only major economy that hadn't been bombed into the Stone Age. So every currency in the world would be pegged to the US dollar, and the dollar would be pegged to gold. $35 per ounce, fixed, guaranteed. Every other country on Earth was now using a currency backed by gold sitting in a vault in Fort Knox. It was elegant, it was stable, and there was a crack in it from the very first day. That crack was trust. The whole system only worked if the world believed the gold was actually there. But during the 1950s and 60s, America started spending. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, the space race, the Great Society programs. The government printed more dollars than it had gold to back them. And the rest of the world noticed. France noticed most of all. On February 4th, 1965, Charles de Gaulle stood in front of the cameras and said, essentially, we don't trust your paper anymore. We want the gold. France started converting its dollars into physical gold. Other countries followed. And by August 1971, the pressure had reached a breaking point. France sent a warship to New York Harbor with one instruction: bring back our gold from the Federal Reserve. And in Washington, one man was watching all of it happen. Richard Nixon had 3 days. His advisors had gathered in secret at Camp David. No press, no leaks, no staff who didn't absolutely need to be there. The full weight of the global financial system pressing down on a single weekend. The math was simple and brutal. If countries kept demanding gold for dollars, the vaults would be empty within months. And once the world saw the vaults were empty, game over, there were options on the table: raise interest rates, cut spending, endure a recession, let the system slowly rebalance itself, all of them painful, all of them requiring sacrifice. Nixon chose the fourth option. He did it on a Sunday night, August 15th, 1971. Most Americans were watching Bonanza on TV when the broadcast was interrupted. Nixon appeared, calm, almost cheerful. He announced something he called the new economic policy. He was suspending, temporarily, he said, the convertibility of dollars to gold. No more exchanging paper for metal. The promise that had underpinned every dollar in the world since 1944 gone? In 15 minutes, on a Sunday. He also froze wages and prices for 90 days and slapped a 10% tariff on all imports. And he called it a victory for the American worker. Markets opened Monday morning, and instead of crashing, they surged. The Dow jumped 33 points, its biggest single-day gain in history up to that point. People celebrated. They had absolutely no idea what had just happened. So think about that for a moment. What are you actually holding when you hold a dollar? Not gold, not silver, not any physical thing at all. You're holding a promise from a government that reserves the right to change what that promise means whenever it needs to. That's called fiat currency. From the Latin, let it be done, money by decree. Money because the government says so. And the second you understand that, a question opens up that most people never think to ask: why does anyone accept it? Because Nixon didn't just remove the gold, he replaced it with something else. Something almost as powerful as gold. Need within 3 years of the Nixon shock, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger flew to Saudi Arabia and made a quiet deal with the House of Saud. The Saudis would sell their oil in dollars, only dollars. In return, America would provide military protection weapons and economic cooperation. And because the entire world runs on oil, because every nation on Earth needs oil to function, every nation on Earth now needed dollars to buy it. The gold was gone, but the demand for dollars was bigger than ever. Not because of what dollars were, but because of what you could not survive without. The dollar hadn't collapsed. It had evolved into something more powerful and more fragile than gold had ever been. Nixon called his move temporary. That was 1971. The gold window has never reopened. In the decades since, America has printed trillions. The dollar has lost more than 85% of its purchasing power since the gold standard ended. A house that cost $30,000 in 1971 costs $400,000 today. And every time you feel the squeeze at the grocery store, at the gas pump, watching your savings shrink in real terms, you are feeling the ghost of a Sunday night decision made before most people alive today were born. The system didn't break in 1971. It just stopped pretending. Every empire in history has eventually debased its currency. Rome shaved its coins, China burned its paper, America untethered its dollar. The lie isn't that the money is worthless. The lie is that it was ever anything other than a story we all agreed to believe, and the moment you see the story, you can never unsee it.